Hello, teacher. Hello, everyone. My name is Samuel Torres. Today, I would like to present my homework of the course of academic reading and writing 2. Let me share the screen in order to start. Okay, this is the name of my homework. Role and organization of in-text citations and end-of-text citations. What do we mean with those terms? First, in-text citations are those citations that we find in the body of our uh, academic works. Okay, uh, their function it's because when we write in any academic work, we need to support our ideas with authors, um, with previous works, with researchings, in order to give to our works a more academic look, okay, for giving more veridical ways of being. And this is how academic works works. The end of text citations are commonly find it in the references part. They are the citations that we made, but in a more complete way. So we have in here two examples of what I said. In text citations of the body, and of text citations in the references. Uh, let's talk about of those part of the reference with the basic format of the books. Okay, this format follows the rules of the APA 7th edition rules. Okay, uh, APA 7th edition says that first goes the author, but the last name of the author, then after a comma, the first letter of the name. Okay, if the author has more than one name, we can put in here. In parentheses, the year of publication, after that, the title of the book, and finally the publisher. It's important to remark that the title of the book goes italicized. It's the only part that goes italicized. And the capitalization goes just for the first letter of any word. If the title has their own capitalized word, we need to respect that. This is an exercise uh, of how we find this information in a more realistic way, because we find this information disordered in any book. Okay, we can first find the publisher, then the authors. If the authors' names are fully, okay, if we found the fully name of the author, we need to organize the names in this way. First, the last name. So with this example, we need to put first the authors, then the year of publication. After that, the the title of the book, italicized, and in this case, the edition without italicized. Finally, the the publisher, in this case, person and long. For the journal articles, it's a little different, because we need to give the credits not just the article but the journal also, and put the DOIS URL. So for the first part, the author and the years go exactly in the same format. But the title of the article that goes after the year of publication doesn't go italicized because the title of the journal and the volume goes italicized. Okay. In parentheses, the issue, the page range, and finally the DOIS URL. Okay. As you can see in this example, we don't have the DOIS URL. We need to find it in the first one. The second, we have the authors. It's in the same way uh, disordered the information. But I need to I need to focus in the 5 point in here because we have the article number instead of the page range. And this is because nowadays we don't have journals in physical. So journals publish their articles individually and they don't uh, they don't do anymore the page range because it's not a big journal, it's just an article published by the journal, and now they use these article numbers. So in this case, first, obviously the authors in this case, then the year of publication, after that, um, the name of the article. Okay, you can see in its ordered way in here. After that, the name of the journal and the volume, but italicized. Okay, as we said, the article number and the DOIS URL. Okay, not a bad URL, the DOIS URL. For the part of the in-text citations, we have two big parts, a narrative and parenthetical. Let's start by narrative. This is an example that how we could find it in a reading of any body. When the citation is narrative, the author the author is outside of the parentheses. Okay, because the author, it's part of the paragraph, it's part of the of the sentence, it's part of the idea that we are talking. Like in this case, Morehouse et al. 2025 explained that the many students perceive artificial intelligence as a tool that enhances their autonomy and improves their writing abilities. The author is part of the idea. Okay. We can do this in a passive voice and active voice. In a passive voice, put we put the we put the verbs before the author. So in this case, you can see according to, okay, Morehouse et al. We can use similars like as is described by Morehouse et al. 2025, many students perceive. Okay. With the active voice, we can play with the verbs in order to how much we want the intensity of the idea. Okay. If we gonna if we want to be more persuasive, more intense, we could use persuasive verbs like argue, assert. If we just if we just want to um, expose the idea, we use neutral verbs. Okay, persuasive in a persuasive way. Morehouse et al. 2025 argue that many students In a neutral way, Morehouse et al. 2025 describe that many students perceive. Okay, it vary because the intention. For the parenthetical, it is different because the author is not, it's not part of the idea. The author, what we want in parenthetical, it's just the idea of the author, giving him or her the credits, of course, in parentheses. That's because this is called parenthetical. The differences are obviously in the visual. When we have just one author, we put it in parenthetical inside the parentheses with a comma. If there are two authors, we put the and person and then the comma and the year. If finally, if we have more than three authors, four, we can put at all. Okay, this is an X structure that we need to respect. You can see at all dots and after the dot the comma. But differences are not just visual because, as we said, in one part of the in one part, in one way, in the narrative way, the author it's part of the idea. In the parenthetical, we just want the idea of the author. But this has their pros and their cons because in the narrative way, we can compare authors, we can compare ideas of the putting the emphasis of the authors, obviously, but we can compare researchers, researchings. We can compare a lot of things, but in parenthetical, we just talk about the idea. We emphasize just the information, and it's more for do an explanation general of the idea. Okay, so I think these two are not uh, okay. I think that these two parts of the citations needs to be mixed. That is that's how we can do a more fluent reading, for example, if we mix the narrative and the parenthetical way. So, well, this was my homework. Thank you so much. And